they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Saturday vitamin. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so before we get into it, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Everybody hit that like button. That's the one way that you can support the stream for free. Please pay attention.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy. Just look for Lisa Crafts. And also you can find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget for the men, she has a very good beard oil. Okay, so that all been said, make sure you shop at 12 Tribes. Okay, so now let's talk about Trump. All right, let's get into it. First of all, let's see who's in here. Hey, Goodness Rated Bo, Christopher is here. All right, Miss AP in the house, Dark Titan, Juju B, Anita Harrell. All right, JD is here. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay. Sir Bad is in the house. I see you, Deronda and Claudette. Emperor Rex is here. Okay. Shout out to all my loyal royals and my moderators for putting in work. I see you, Samantha. Okay. So now let's talk about it because Trump is causing an uproar. Okay. Every day it's something different. And then they caught Justin Trudeau. So they caught Trudeau on a hot mic talking about Trump. So let's get into that first. Okay, let's get into that first. And you know, I have several questions because Elon Musk has been dibbling and dabbling into stuff and has uncovered some things according to reports. And you know, I'm sorry, but to me it sounds like somebody was money laundering. Okay, I'm not saying that's what they were doing, but that's what it sounds like somebody was doing. But anyway, we're going to get into that in a minute. In the meantime, everyone, please hit that like button, please, to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, make sure you double check to ensure that you're still subscribed to the channel, honey, because they unsubscribe people every day, and I'm not even joking. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Now, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was caught on a hot mic on Friday saying that President Trump's talk of making Canada the 51st U.S. state is a real thing. Like, he's not even joking. He's dead serious. Okay, Canadian public broadcaster CBS reported that Trudeau made those comments to business leaders and labor leaders in a closed-door session that was mistakenly carried out on a loudspeaker. Now, Trudeau suggested that Mr. Trump has floated the idea of annexing Canada because he wants to access the country's critical minerals. They said Mr. Trump has it in mind that the easiest way to do it is absorbing our country, and it is a real thing. Now, in my conversations with him on This is all what Trudeau is saying that he thinks he's saying in private, but the loudspeaker's on. Okay, please pay attention. So anyway, goes on to say that in my conversations with him, you know, on making Canada a U.S. state before the microphone. Well, he was talking about Trump making Canada a U.S. state before the mic cut out, according to CBC. They say they're very aware of our resources, of what we have, and they very much want to be able to benefit from those. That's what Trudeau said. Now, his office did not immediately respond to the Associated Press when they requested a comment. In a post on social platform X, Gil McGowan, president of the Alberta Federation of Labor, confirmed exactly what Trudeau said, saying, yes, I can confirm that Trudeau said, you know, his assessment is that what Trump really wants is not action on fentanyl or immigration or even the trade deficit. What he really wants is to either dominate Canada or take it outright. Now, that sounds about right. I want you all to think about it, because Trump wants the Panama Canal, he wants the Gaza Strip, and he wants Canada. That's absolutely what he wants. Okay, forget America first. And yeah, that's what he said prior to the election, but now it's Trump for himself. Okay, and when he said he wanted to take over the Gaza Strip and then turn it into a Riviera of the north of the Middle East, well, all I envisioned him thinking about were him putting up casinos, you know, and more Trump resorts. Okay, that's what that looked like to me. Okay, so anyway, Trump has repeatedly suggested Canada would be better off if it agreed to become the 51st U.S. state, even going as far as calling Trudeau the governor of the great state of Canada in a post on Truth Social in December. And so anyway, he's been planning this. Now, with that all being said, Trudeau's comments came after Mr. Trump on Monday agreed to a 30-day pause on threats to impose 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, with another 10% tariff on Canadian oil, natural gas, and electricity. What I'd like to see is Canada become our 51st state. And this is what Trump said in the Oval Office on Monday when asked what concessions Canada could offer to stave off those tariffs. Mr. Trump said that the tariffs were necessary to ensure greater cooperation from the countries to stop illegal immigration and prevent fentanyl smuggling. But he has also pledged to use tariffs to boost domestic manufacturing and raise revenues for the federal government. Now, in public comments on Friday, Trudeau said that Canada must think tactically and strategically on how to deal with Mr. Trump's threats, and said the country must work with the U.S. to avoid the hefty tariffs. He added that Canada needs to eliminate internal trade barriers and expand its trade with other nations. This is a moment, says Trudeau. This is a time in our country's history that really matters. Canada had planned to retaliate to the U.S. action with 25% tariffs on 155 billion Canadian dollars, okay, or $109 billion worth of American goods. Trudeau said that it's also time to give genuine free trade in Canada while strengthening its trade relationships with other countries. Now, Candace Lane, president and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, says she's happy the meeting is focused on internal trade, trade diversification, and responding to U.S. tariffs. It's clear that we can't just tinker around the edges with incremental steps right now. Okay, we've got to be bold so that businesses and communities can pivot to be more resilient and less resilient on what happens in the U.S. That's what she said in a statement. Now, last month, they say, Trudeau announced that he would resign as prime minister and Liberal Party leader amid growing opposition to his leadership. Canada's parliament was paused until late March, so a new leader could be chosen. Okay, I'm just telling y'all, Trump sounds real crazy to me. I know somebody left me a comment yesterday saying, oh, he's got to be strong. He's got to be strong. He's got to be doing all this stuff. Well, does he? Does he really need to own the Gaza Strip? Does that need to be taken into America's possession while there's Palestinians still there? Like, make that make sense. And then he's just trying to ship them off to Egypt when those people don't even want them there. Okay, I'm sorry. That has nothing to do with strength. That has everything to do with Trump trying to be an authoritarian. Okay, with him wanting to be a whole dictator, okay, to rule and reign as king or something of the sort. Metro Man says, I'm too old to learn another state. It's been 50, let it stay 50, and we don't have enough resources to add another star to the flag. Let it be. Okay, I mean, did he even think about any of those things, beloved? I'm sure he didn't. Okay, I'm sure he did. And thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. And for those of you who do not know, I uploaded 3 videos earlier. You can go back and check those out if you missed them, talking about Kanye just saying all this anti-Semitic stuff, calling himself a Nazi, just talking crazy, and campaigning for Diddy. And then you have Beyonce and Jay-Z upset because they think that Kanye tried to steal the limelight. I mean, it's just all a fiasco. Okay, please pay attention. Now, DSB has gifted 5 memberships to the channel. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. And thank you again, Measure Man, for your contribution. Okay, so I appreciate you all. And you all shout out DSB for those memberships, okay? Specifically, if you're one of the people who gets one of those memberships. All right, and so anyway, let's continue. Because let's talk about Trump and this, these protests about the deportation. So there was a teenager, 17 years old. He was stabbed at the protest over immigration policies. This happened in downtown Los Angeles. And he's in the hospital. Sounds like he's in critical condition. I'm going to go to that report. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
A teen in the hospital in critical condition after being stabbed at an anti-deportation protest in downtown LA. This happened in Grand Park, where hundreds of students were marching against President Trump's immigration policies. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam there live with the details, including video. Tim.
Mark, this is where the crowd was protesting, and then it turned violent. A 17-year-old is in the hospital in critical condition with a stab wound. New video shows the frantic moments after this teenager was stabbed in downtown Los Angeles during the height of an anti-deportation protest. First responders rushing to the victim's aid Friday afternoon in Grand Park. Jerry Martinez spotted the injured teen while live streaming the protest. He called 911 before capturing this moment.
My instinct was try to keep him as calm as possible because I didn't want him to bleed out. He was bleeding a lot.
You can see the child is shirtless with blood staining his back, shoulder, and forearm.
He just kept shaking his head like, saying no, no. And he then began to turn pale and I was just kind of began to get worried more and more and more.
The young man taken to the hospital. After sunset, police and crime tape still visible outside City Hall. Air 7 over the scene in Grand Park, showing where dried blood and clothes mark where the boy was found. Witnesses tell me off camera the boy's attack stemmed from an argument with another child during the
We're not going to go back. We're here to make this country.
This was just one of several demonstrations across LA Friday. From Van Nuys to Huntington Park, students walking out of school.
My parents, they fought for me to be able to be here to build a life for myself, and they can't come out here and protest, so I'm protesting for them.
Los Angeles Unified School District raising safety concerns over the off-campus unsupervised demonstrations. The district urging students to utilize its school campuses for expression. Friday marking the 6th straight day of protests, most of them peaceful until this child was injured. Now, the school district says it will offer resources next week to students to safely protest on campus. As for this incident, a person was seen taken into police custody, but it is not clear if they have been charged. Tim Pulliam.
Okay, so that's a sad turn of events. I hate that someone got injured, specifically a teenager. Okay, that's awful. I wonder why that happened. I guess it was just a bunch of melee. But they also have been protesting in Tulsa. Okay, so let's take a look at this.
Covering news that matters. Fox 23 News at 9 starts right now. We start tonight with multiple protests in Tulsa held today against the Trump administration's plans for mass deportations. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shay Rossi.
And I'm Morgan Martin. We have team coverage of both a large student walkout and a protest organized in East Tulsa. We start with Fox 23's Kaylee Carnine, who spoke with protesters at 21st and Garnett.
I'm here at 21st and Garnett, and as you can see behind me, many people are out here waving flags and signs, lots of cars driving by, honking in support, and passing out these flyers that say, "Know your rights." Cars fill the streets and honks fill the air, some driving by multiple times, showing support for this protest against President Donald Trump's immigration policies. All of this organized by Tulsa advocates and organizing Okies.
So I think we all belong here. And, you know, like, I don't think nobody should be exiled out, you know? Like, it's been, like, especially being black and brown in this country, it's really hard, you know? And I feel like we all deserve it. We all deserve peace, and we deserve to be here and all, you know, be welcoming, you know? I feel like it's just us, you know? This is us. Like, we deserve this.
Along with the honking, dozens of signs also fill the air. One protester, Xavier, says he holds his high for those who couldn't make it.
People who can't speak or who can't come out or anything like that, I feel like we're speaking for those people. Like, we're speaking for the people that you know, can't make it today or couldn't make it to any other protest.
Another advocate says he skipped work to come to the protest on Wednesday. He's doing this for the Hispanic community.
We put up signs, we talk to the community, all the local people, and we're like, we're going to be here for you because right now we're hurting as a community and it's not fair what's going on and we can't do a lot about it, but they can't take our joy away. They can't take our pride away. So we're out here, you know, we're trying to just stay together as a community because that's all we have right now.
This community hoping to spark change.
The change I hope to see from this is just that Tulsa will just see the lighter side of what's going on. You know, we're happy and we're trying our best. We're trying to just do the same things you guys are. We have the same dreams. We want to work. We want to have a house. We want to have a family.
Covering news that matters, Kaylee Carnine.
Okay, all sad. All very sad at the end of the day, but hey, I'm not going to be out there protesting, okay? I don't protest for my own people because I think it's pointless. I think it's all pointless. I mean, yeah, it draws attention to the situation, but at the end of the day, honey, this government does whatever the hell they want, and so do the police. I'm convinced. Now, Mama Joycelyn says, I'm sorry, but protesting won't do shat. Trump said illegals are going to be deported, and that's what he's doing. Not sure why folks are surprised. Well, I'm not either, beloved. I'm, in fact, not sure why folks are surprised either. And at the end of the day, like I said, protesting doesn't do anything. Okay, we've been protesting since when, for how many decades and all of that, and still the same things. We're still complaining about the same things. Why are we in 2025 still complaining about the same things that our ancestors complained about? Nothing's changing. Okay, I'm not protesting. Forget that. And you see how that young man got stabbed? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happens at protest. If you're not getting stabbed by somebody else who's there, or get into a fight with somebody who's opposing your protest, then you get into a scuffle with the police or get arrested and all kinds of stuff. It's just a headache at the end of the day. And it doesn't solve anything because once you're done with all of the protesting, the same things continue to fester. And then you find yourself going to another protest sometime, somewhere down the line. And I'm sorry, it just makes no sense to me. So I'll pass on the protest. Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll pass on the protesting, period. So anyway, like I said, Trump's out here wreaking havoc and just doing the absolute most as is expected. Trump orders U.S. to prioritize refugee resettlement of South Africans of European descent. Say what now? That's what he said. Prioritize refugee resettlement of South Africans of European descent. Now, meanwhile, he's getting rid of the people that are here. Okay. He's getting rid of the immigrants who are here, but he wants other immigrants to come in. That's something, the ones who look like him. I just want y'all to pay attention, but y'all think this country is not what it is? Of course. Yeah, that's what it's always been. DSB said this government loves to see us out in the streets begging for the enemies to do the right thing. They get a kick out of it. Yes. You know, that's a great way to put it. I'm absolutely convinced that they do. And here's the thing. They know that it's not going to accomplish anything, and they know that it's foolish for us to keep coming out there. But they also, you know, get a kick out of it, like you said, because they know that all you're going to do is go out there and protest, march around, pumping your fist in the air, holding up your signs. Then eventually you get tired, fed up, and you're going to go home. And the same thing's going to keep happening as per usual. So, yeah, that's absolutely what they do. It's absolutely what they do. Likes up, everyone, please, like and share. Okay, because cue this video real quick. And I'm quite sure the South Africans are thrilled that he's bringing those people here. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to share this report, and then we're going to talk about it. Because like I told you all, the South Africans are thrilled that they're bringing these people here.
For 2 weeks, and he has already transformed the U.S. government. Since his inauguration on January 20th, the president has signed more than 36 executive orders. His administration has also ramped up ICE raids and migrant arrests, fired hundreds of federal employees, overhauled foreign aid, and implemented hefty tariffs on the United States' 3 largest trading partners, Mexico, Canada, and China. The tariffs, of course, on Mexico and Canada are on pause for the next month. But the president's moves have some lawmakers and government workers wondering whether all of this is legal. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson is here to help us answer that. She's a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles. So, Jessica, there's a conservative constitutional theory known as the unitary executive. What is it, and how might the Trump administration be utilizing it?
Well, it's the idea that the president is ultimately the one who has complete authority over the executive branch. And the most controversial part of this theory is the idea that the president has unfettered discretion to remove people who work for the executive branch. This is certainly an issue that is at the top of a lot of people's minds right now, particularly because, as you just clearly laid out, we are seeing a number of firings and or forced resignations. And the theory extends beyond just firing to issues like giving the president maximum authority without congressional interference to take care to faithfully execute the laws. But the area where we see the most litigation and likely the most movement right now is this idea that the president can fire who he wants to as long as they were an executive agency employee.
I want to dive into this further, but first off, how has the Supreme Court recently paved the way for this expansion of presidential powers?
Yeah, so in one case, a case that you and I got to talk about recently, the presidential immunity decision was obviously the Supreme Court showing a broad embrace of executive authority. And that was a case where the court said, for lack of a better way of describing it, we need to kind of bubble wrap the president. So when it comes to any decisions that the president makes that are official conduct, you are absolutely immune from criminal prosecution. Obviously, that isn't about hiring and firing, but it's part of this idea that the president is very powerful and deserving of protection. And it follows on a Nixon era decision where the court said when it comes to civil cases, and the president is sued based on official conduct, there is absolute immunity from civil liability. Another recent case dealt with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where the court, back to hiring and firing, said that part of how the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was structured, and specifically how the director could only be removed for cause, that actually violated the Constitution because the president, as head of the executive branch, should be able to more easily remove that director.
Jessica, we've been hearing a lot about DOGE and Elon Musk. Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said the Department of Government Efficiency is neither a real government agency, nor does it have authority to make spending decisions and shut down government programs. So what legal authority does DOGE have? We know that Musk at least had a very vocal role in wanting to shut down USAID.
Well, I think that's right, vocal role. And what we've heard from President Trump, my interpretation is that he is getting recommendations from Elon Musk and the DOGE. But there is and or should be an understanding that the DOGE and Elon Musk cannot say, we are now going to fold USAID into the State Department, for instance. There are a lot of concerns about the amount of, or I should say, there's some concerns about the amount of access that DOGE has to financial information and potentially other sensitive information. But in terms of that department's ability to say, we are now reorganizing the executive branch, that's really not a decision they can make. And frankly, the bigger legal question is, can President Trump, by executive order, do things like try and reorganize USAID? I think there are some statutes that might stand in the way of.
Honey, Trump don't care nothing about no statutes. Trump doesn't care about what they say he can or can't do. He's going to do whatever he wants. I want y'all to pay attention. This man is lawless. Okay, please pay attention. DSB, thank you for your kind contribution, beloved, and for your insight into the topic. Peace, love, and blessings. Measure Man says, hey, tribe, been a minute. Glad to catch you. I believe 1,000% laundering it back to them. Look at how many millionaire politicians we have. Exactly. Okay, absolutely. All right. Thanks for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. That's absolutely, I do believe, what it is. And DSB gifted another membership to the channel. So shout out to you, beloved. Thank you. Thank you for that. And so that makes 6 altogether. Y'all make sure y'all shout him out, okay, for getting y'all these memberships. Okay, so with that all being said, let's continue, because here's the thing. Elon seems to have found something when he was in there meddling in government affairs. But first, now here's the thing. They're saying that, you know, Trump doesn't have the authority, that it could be illegal, the stuff he's doing. Well, you know, he doesn't care. That's what he doesn't do. He doesn't care. But they say President Trump on Friday directed government officials to prioritize the resettlement of South Africans of European descent through the U.S. refugee program, which he suspended during his first day in office. Okay. Now, in an executive order, Trump accused the South African government of discriminating against Afrikaners, an ethnic group in South Africa made up of descendants of European colonists, mostly from the Netherlands, who first arrived there in the 1600s. Now, I want y'all to think about that. He said discriminate against them. First of all, these people came there and colonized, okay, and tried to take over. All right. So anyway, until the 1990s, white South Africans of European descent ruled South Africa, enforcing the brutal system of apartheid against the country's black majority. What you have to say about that, Trump? I'm sure nothing. Okay, but Mr. Trump alleged in his order that white South Africans are now the targets of oppression by the country's government, citing a law that U.S. conservatives like Trump advisor and billionaire Elon Musk have said allow racially motivated seizures of land owned by white South Africans. Musk was born in South Africa, by the way. So South Africa's government has strongly denied any land confiscations or racially motivated discrimination, saying the law being scrutinized targets land not being used or not serving the public interest. Now, in his order, Mr. Trump instructed Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to prioritize humanitarian relief, including admission and resettlement through the United States Refugee Admissions Program for Afrikaners, okay, in South Africa, who are victims of unjust racial discrimination. It's unclear how and when that plan would be enacted, since refugee arrivals were brought to a halt by Mr. Trump. You see how Trump's such a hypocrite? I just want y'all to pay attention to that. You see how he is such a nefarious hypocrite. He wants to get rid of the immigrants, wants to have mass deportations, okay, wants to close the borders, shut down programs. But now, because he wants people who look like him here, now it's okay. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, in an executive order he signed on January the 20th, the president argued refugees were astray on receiving communities and said that he would only restart the refugee program if he concluded that doing so would serve the interest of the U.S. So to bring the European South Africaners here, that's going to serve the interest of the U.S. So how is it that these immigrants are going to be different than the other immigrants who are already here that he wants to deport? I have several questions. Mr. Trump's order does, however, allow officials to make case-by-case exemptions to the freeze in refugee arrivals. Now, the U.S. refugee program is designed to offer a safe haven to people abroad fleeing persecution based on their race, religion, political views, or other factors. These South African European people that are coming here, they're not going through any of those things. No one's oppressing them. No one is persecuting them because of race, religion, or political views, or any other factors. Okay, so I'm gonna need Trump to make that make sense. Now, typically refugees are referred to the U.S. by the United Nations officials and spend months or years in third countries undergoing interviews, as well as security and medical checks before being allowed into the U.S. Historically, most of those allowed into the U.S. through the refugee program have hailed from countries in Africa and Asia plagued by war, ethnic strife, or repression of minority groups. Now, the president's order also cuts off any aid or assistance to South Africa as long as it keeps the new land reform law in place. The move raises further questions about the U.S. AIDS response program, okay, called PEPFAR, PEPFAR, now, which provides HIV treatment to millions of adults and hundreds of thousands of children, many in African countries. Well, you know, the first thing the Africans should be asking about that PEPFAR, that treats AIDS and HIV, they should be asking if Mr. Bill Gates has anything to do with it. And if he does, they should have several questions. But let me continue. Now, the Trump administration ordered a freeze on all foreign aid that encompassed international medical and humanitarian efforts. Last weekend, the State Department issued a waiver to allow PEPFAR and some other programs to resume, but there have still been delays in distributing the aid. Beyond the racial discrimination accusations, Mr. Trump also said South Africa had taken aggressive positions toward the United States and its allies, citing the case that the country filed before the International Court of Justice, alleging that Israel was engaged in a genocide against Palestinians. I'm sorry, they weren't. Okay, I have several questions. Now, with that all being said, I just want you all to see how Trump's getting down. All right? I just want y'all to see how he's getting down. Okay, DSB said, when have those people spoken for the Black community, you fools? You're talking about the Black guy who was out there with the Latinos? Yeah, you know, they haven't. They haven't spoken for us. And in fact, who does besides us? But like I said, everybody who has a problem, who has issues, who needs to draw attention to something or whatever, or have complaints and grievances, they always want African Americans to come out there and be at the forefront of their battle. And you know, why is that? Well, I'm so glad you asked. That's because back in the 60s, that's what Black people did. And the early 70s, Black people would actually be out there fighting for everybody else's rights. That's what they would do, not just their own, but for other people's as well. And so now people have come to expect that. But what they need to realize is we ain't them, okay? I'm not my ancestors, even though I may have their DNA, but I'm not down with the things they were down for. I'm not going to be sitting out here, you know, ducking and dodging bullets from the police and, you know, batons and all of that, fighting for other people's rights. Who don't fight for mine? Yeah, that's what I'm not going to do, ever. But anyway, I digress. So now with that all been said, here's what they say that Elon Musk found when he went and started digging around in all that data. So let's get into it. And I have a feeling that this might be why the Democrats are mad, because this sounds like money laundering to me. Now, I could be wrong, but I could be absolutely right. What I will say is this stuff doesn't seem to be adding up. It doesn't seem to be adding up at all. Now, let me pull up this this video because I reposted this on X yesterday. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. Now, you all tell me what this sounds like to you, because it sounds like money laundering, okay? Now, someone, I believe it was Dorian, said in the chat, why would they be laundering money if they print it? If who prints it? Who are you talking about prints it? Are you talking about the government? Because the government's not the one that prints it. Okay, and the people that I'm talking about are politicians. Okay, these politicians are not out here printing money. Okay, they're not out here printing money. And in fact, it's a whole lot of them that have a whole lot of wealth. And I have questions as to where it came from. Okay, that's what I have questions about. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Because here's the thing. The only ones printing money is the Treasury Department. Okay? The Treasury Department is printing the money. And with that all being said, hold on. Hold on, I'm getting my chat together. Hold on, everybody. Now, as I was saying, These politicians are very slick, okay? I have several questions. Like, where did Nancy Pelosi get all those millions from? Where'd she get all that? But where did Maxine Waters? Where'd they get all this money? I have several questions. Okay, but so let's see if we can figure this all out, because I'm telling you that if this stuff that this man is saying is true, and this is really what Elon Musk found, yeah, somebody needs to be explained it. Okay, because I don't believe that they spent all these millions of dollars on the bullshit that this man's about to talk about. Okay, I don't believe it. I think somebody's lying and doctoring the books. That's what it sounds like, cooking the books.
What many of my Democratic friends have been talking about today. They're very, very, very upset at President Trump. And they're very, very, very upset at Elon Musk. President Trump ran for president on a number of issues. One of the issues he ran on, he said it almost every day. He said, if you elect me president, I'm going to go through the entire budget and review all the spending, line by line. If I heard him say that once, I heard him say it 1,000 times. And that's what he's been doing. He went out and appointed through an executive order Elon Musk, who some people like him, some don't, but he's not a dummy. He's a very successful business person. He's got a top secret security clearance. President Trump issued an executive order, and he turned to Mr. Musk and he said, Mr. Musk, I want you to do for me what I said I was going to do in the election. I want you to go through all the spending, line by line. Now, let me ask you something, Mr. President. How are you going to review the spending without reviewing the spending? How are you going to audit the spending by an agency without auditing the agency? That's what I mean when I say common sense is illegal in Washington, D.C. That's what Mr. Musk is doing. He's put together a crackerjack team, and they're going through everybody's spending line by line, item by item.
Yeah, they're going through everybody's spending line by line, item by item. And that's what they don't want. Okay, that's what they don't want, because this stuff sounds all nefarious. Okay, please pay attention. Auntie Leah says, Queen, you cooking. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words and for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, it's some shady stuff going on here. Like I said, if everything this man is saying is true, it's all some shady stuff going on, and somebody needs to be answered, because I have several questions.
And my Democratic colleagues are very, very, very upset. And they've been very eloquent. They've talked about the process, and President Trump's executive order supposedly violates the Constitution. And they've accused Mr. Musk of having conflicts of interest. And so I've heard people say he's sitting over there with a notepad, copying down everybody's social security number, and he's going to go use it to make money. I mean, people in this town, not just my Democratic colleagues, they're really upset. They've never said anybody question their spending. But that's what Mr. Musk is doing. But you know what? I've listened. This has been going on for a week. People have been screaming like they're part of a prison riot. Oh, my God, look at what Musk is doing. He's looking at the spending. And I've listened to people talk about the process and debate whether it's constitutional and discuss how many lawyers can dance on the head of a pin. But you know what? I haven't heard one single person who's upset with President Trump or Mr. Musk talk about what he's found. They don't want to talk about the spending porn, the waste of taxpayer money that he's found. I mean, that's the point of all this. I tell you who is interested, the American people, the people in America who get up every day and go to work and obey the law and pay their taxes and try to educate their kids and try to do the right thing by their kids and try to save a little money for retirement, and have had to live through 20% inflation under President Biden. They understand what Musk is doing. They understand spending porn and wasting taxpayer money. Now, Mr. Musk started with the USAID. That handles a lot of foreign aid for America. American people are very generous. In our country, you know.
Now, let me tell you all something. This is the problem right here. Okay, this is the problem right here, because Elon's been looking into the USAID, the United States Agency for International Development. Okay, it's an independent agency of the United States government that is primarily responsible for administering civilian foreign aid and development assistance. All right. Statute law also places USAID under the direct authority and policy guidance of the Secretary of State. They don't want Elon looking into that, because I want you all to listen to what he's about to say. This money has been spent on, and then you tell me whether or not you believe that they actually spent the money on what he says they claim they spent it on.
When you're homeless, we'll house you. When you're hungry, we'll feed you. In our country, when you're too poor to be sick, we'll pay for your doctor. And we send a lot of money overseas to help our world's neighbors. And the USAID is in charge in large part of that. But I'll tell you what Mr. Musk discovered. I find it fascinating. He discovered that the American taxpayers are giving money to Afghanistan. He found that we are giving money to Yemen. He found that we are giving money to Syria. I didn't know that. Some of our foreign aid is going to Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria. He found that the USAID has 10,000 people, employees. And every year they give away $40 billion. Mr. Musk, now
I know y'all heard that, right? So they got 10,000 people, and every year they give away $40 billion. They're giving money to Afghanistan. Didn't they just end a war with them? This is all crazy. Now, y'all know they're lying. Y'all know they are lying, but let's continue.
Also found, and I'm not saying that all of this money is wasteful. I'm not. Some of this money, I'm sure, does some good. That's why Secretary Rubio is going to revamp the department and separate the good from the bad. But this is the kind of stuff Mr. Musk found. He found that the USAID gave money to support electric vehicles in Vietnam. Our money, taxpayer money. He found that USAID gave money to a transgender clinic in India.
Now, do you all see how they've been playing in our faces? So they gave money to a transgender clinic in India? What? Are y'all listening to this bull crap? This is what they've been spending American taxpayers' dollars on? I don't believe it. I think this money is going in their pockets. Now, make this all make sense, but let's keep listening.
I didn't know that. I bet you the American people didn't know that. He found that USAID gave $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBTQ group called Grupa Izadaji. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies. Anyway, they got $1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business community. What else did Mr. Musk found?
Now, first of all, they're giving all that money away. Why didn't they just give it to the LGBTQ people we have here in the United States? Make that make sense. Are y'all listening to this foolishness? Okay, are y'all listening to this? Nita and Mike's World said that's why they all need to go to jail for treason. Okay? Where in the hell is this money really going? Because it's not going to where they're saying. I don't believe it for a second. DSB said Mitch McConnell's little brother right here. Yeah, he does put you in the mind of him, okay? Just without less of a turkey neck, mind you. But thanks for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings.
My colleagues don't want to talk about. Well, he reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done by the Middle East Forum. They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world. We're not talking Cub Scout troops here. We're talking about radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations. Our taxpayer money.
Now, y'all hear this, right? They're funding terrorist organizations. Now, y'all tell me how that makes sense. Y'all tell me how any of this makes sense. They're out here supposedly funding terrorist organizations. This is absolutely crazy. Now, I know this has to be lies. Where's the money really going? They need to all be under investigation. Whoever is in charge of USAID, which will be the Secretary of State, okay? They need to be under investigation.
According to this report in Mr. Musk, the USAID has given millions of dollars to, quote, organizations in Gaza controlled by Hamas. Why aren't my colleagues talking about that? Recipients of the money, they found, have, quote, called for their lands to be cleansed from the impurity of Jews. That's what we're giving foreign aid to. What else? I'm not going to spend my whole time talking about this, but nobody else is talking about it. They're just talking about the process. And Mr. Musk, and he's a mean guy, and he shouldn't be looking at our spending. Well, he is. And I kind of find what he's found out interesting. He found that we gave $2 million, USAID did, for sex changes in Guatemala. He found that we gave $20 million to produce a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. He found that we gave $4.5 million of taxpayer money to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. He found.
Now, where in the hell is Kazakhstan? They're giving money to places we never even heard of. Kazakhstan, really? To start a new version of Sesame Street? Y'all know this is all lies, okay? This is all a whole load of BS. They can't convince me. They can't convince me this is serious. I'm sorry, they cannot convince me at all that this is for real, where this money went to.
That we gave $10 million, USAID did, of meals to an al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group called the Nusra Front. Mr. Musk found that we gave $7.9 million of taxpayer money to a project that would teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language.
Now they're just making up bullshit. Did y'all hear this? To teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language. These people have been playing in our faces. Are y'all hearing this? Queen in the Star said pure insanity. Okay, D. Lover said not Sesame Street Queen. Now you know they're lying. This is all absolutely nefarious. But let's continue because this is all crazy.
The USAID took $8 million and gave it to a bunch of journalists in Sri Lanka to teach them how to avoid binary gendered language. I don't know what the hell binary gendered language is. I think I do. You think most taxpayers would support that? Why are we talking about that? The USAID gave $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. They gave $1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. They gave $1.5 million for, quote, art for inclusion of people with disabilities in Belarus. Another $3.9 million for LGBT causes in Macedonia. $8.3 million for equity and inclusion education in Nepal. I could go all night. And many.
Now, this is all a darn shame. They have all this money to give away, but they can't give us our reparations. Oh, yeah, I have a very serious problem with this. Okay, Giggle said lies. Never will I ever believe a man who wears a Baphomet costume and an upside-down cross. Elon has business ties to China. U.S. owes China $750 billion. Elon gained access to the Department of Treasury because he's there to collect. This is all a distraction. Well, you know, it could be, but I don't think so. Okay, because here's the thing. This stuff that he's saying, there's records of this stuff. There's records and data of this spending. Now, this is what the Democrats put up. Okay, Elon can't make this stuff up. If he were just to make it up and just to say that they were spending the money on this stuff, they would easily find that out. These things are on the record. This is what they have been saying that they spent the money on. I don't believe it. I don't believe they are doing something else with that money and they know it. This is not making any sense. At the end of the day, these people are liars who lie. Now, I don't trust Elon or Trump either, but at the end of the day, I do believe that they've been doing this stuff with, you know, making these false accounts where this money's being spent. I absolutely believe that. And I don't think that the Republicans would be any better. I think this is what all politicians would likely do if given the opportunity. But at the end of the day, this is all very interesting because it sounds to me like they're just making up a bunch of bullshit. Now, giving money to foreign lands for LGBTQ rights and all of those things, they probably are doing that to the different places like Nepal and all these different places. But this other stuff like Sesame Street, new versions of Sesame Street, trying to get Sri Lankan journalists to avoid gender biased or binary gendered language. What is that? Okay. Kanafkistan, whatever that place is, I never heard of it, giving millions to them. Who are they and where are they located? I'm sure it's in the Middle East somewhere, but where? Okay, giving money to Syria, giving money to Al-Qaeda, to terrorist organizations. Now that's absolutely treason. Okay, how is that not? Okay, how is that not? Specifically Al-Qaeda, because didn't they threaten America? I'm sorry. How is this making any sense? Thank you, Giggles, for your insight to the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. Okay, peace, love, and blessings. But this is all crazy. Like, this whole country is just falling apart at the seams. Okay, please pay attention.
Many of my colleagues are upset. They're really mad at Mr. Musk. Hell, I think we ought to give him a medal. All he's doing is what President Trump said he was going to do. President Trump said he's going to audit the spending. So Trump goes and hires Musk, again, with the top secret security clearance. Nobody can quibble with his intelligence. You know, the guy's as smart as Einstein's cousin. He's a very successful businessman. Some say he's the richest guy in the world. And he's doing the auditing. And man, he's finding a lot of stuff. I call it spending porn. Now, I'm not saying everything that USAID does is wasted, but I'm saying a lot of it is. A hell of a lot of it is.
This is all crazy. Yeah, he said they need to be asking Elon to go through every single file and documents. You know, maybe this is why the Democrats are in such an uproar that Elon was allowed to go in there, because maybe they don't want all of this exposed. That's what I think. I think they absolutely did it. I mean, didn't we hear about the backdoor deals that Biden and Obama and Hillary and Bill allegedly did with Russia and Hunter Biden to boots? Okay, with Burisma. Didn't we already hear about that stuff and shady business deals? And I just find it all interesting. At the end of the day, this is all something else. I absolutely think they got some shady stuff going on, period. Now, let's go to this video. And interestingly enough, Elon reposted this. And the man's clearly talking trash about him. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Because this man says that he lost his job thanks to Elon and Trump.
It's been, what? It's been like 2 weeks? I mean, 2 weeks. I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote? In 2 weeks, I went from the highest high to being unemployed. Lost my job last night, got a phone call. The repercussions of what Elon Musk are doing with the USAID has real repercussions for real people. For the last 7 years, I have been a shift lead on Project Bus, where we studied to find out if the wheels on the bus went round around or not. And all of a sudden, Elon, who's not even elected, gets in, and I'm out of a job. What do I tell my family? What do I tell my kids? This isn't a joke. This USAID stuff is not a joke, man. It's affecting real people.
Hold on. DSB says, but the moment we say reparations checks and hate crime bill, everybody loses their MF minds, including the bootlickers. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. And thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Beloved, peace, love, and blessings. Let me let this man finish out. I was going to cut him off because clearly I feel like I'd heard enough, but let's just play the rest of it.
What if we never figure out? What if we never figure out if, in fact, the wheels on the bus do go round and round? Does nobody care?
Now, let me tell you all something. Do you all notice something here? Because I do. This is what I notice. You know, every time this country gets in a pickle and things are going bad, the economy's down in the dumps and people, the prices of groceries and things are rising and people are losing their jobs. Notice that it's always men who look like him that are on there crying. You know why they're on there crying? Because they're not used to it. We are. We've had to always figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And we don't have time to sit around and cry and grovel and complain because we don't have that privilege. You see, in times like these, it's when the privilege starts to show. Because you're on here crying and whining because you lost the job. Listen, dude, I'm sorry you lost your job. Go look for another one. Okay, go look for another one. You know what the problem is, so go find a solution. Okay? You see, people who look like me have always had to deal with these sorts of things. This is commonplace for us. It's no shock. That's why I couldn't for the life of me understand or figure out why so many people who look like me got so, perturbed when Trump got in office. They were all panicking like, oh my God, Project 2025. Oh, Trump's going to do this, Trump's going to do that. And I'm like, Black people, what are y'all talking about? Because at the end of the day, our ancestors endured slavery. They endured Jim Crow. I mean, after our ancestors have gone through all of the things that they've had to endure, being attacked by dogs, sprayed with water hoses, women beat in the streets, and children as well. After our people have gone through that, what are y'all sitting here crying about 2025 for? Project 2025. That's probably a cakewalk compared to what our ancestors went through. Now, I'm not saying you should be applauding or that you shouldn't have reason for concern, but for some of the people who look like me to be sitting here acting like this is the end all be all, like the world's going to come crumbling down because Trump's in office, let me tell y'all something. I don't give a damn who's in office. At the end of the day, I'm going to do what I've always done, and that is survive. Do what I need to do to stay afloat. That's what I'm going to do. Nobody's going to change that. Oh, you're not going to catch me on here whining and crying and groveling and all of that. Because for what? What is that going to resolve besides nothing? Okay, that's not going to resolve anything. And a shout out to the people who make videos telling their side stories. Guess what? Newsflash. I'm sure we all have a side story or have had one at some point. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm sure we've all had a side story at some point. Okay, all I can say is toughen up, Buttercup. Okay, get ready. It's going to be a bumpy ride, and this is only the beginning. Trump's not even a month in, and you're crying already. What the hell you think you're going to be doing when we're at the 2nd year mark? Okay, I'm start crying for what? Please make it all make sense. That's all I'm saying. Please make it all make sense. Okay. Now, with that all being said, listen to this. This lady is ecstatic. Okay, she is clearly pumped about Trump saying that he's going to let the South African Europeans come here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
I know Trump is getting a lot of hate right now, but on behalf of my South African brothers and sisters, and on behalf of the continent of Mother Africa, I would like to thank President Donald Trump for his generosity and his foresight in resettling white South Africans in the United States of America because of the abominable way they've been treated. Let's get into it. South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people, aka white, very badly. It's a bad situation, a massive human rights violation. No. Who is going to tell this raging, thieving racist Donald Trump how white South Africans got this land in the first place? Who is going to tell him how, in a land that is 90% black, that white South Africans own 70% of the land? That's 70. You heard me right. Or that white South Africans still hold on to the economic power that they controlled during apartheid. And that includes through their ownership of land, mineral resources, and in many other ways. Or the fact that white South Africans still today benefit from a privilege and economic power over and above black South Africans because of that systemic and structural racism. And how did they get that? by committing genocide of Black South Africans, by killing Black South Africans for Black South African land, by raping Black South Africans, pillaging, stealing, denying them justice and denying them equality to the present day. These are the people that Donald Trump is calling victims. And the human rights violations happens against Black South Africans, not white South Africans. These white South African farmers even have the temerity to ask for compensation. People, let me understand this. So you steal land from me, I take my land back, and you have the caucasity to demand for, complain about compensation. Ha! Jesus. Hey, listen, you should be happy that all South Africans are doing is taking the land back. That they are not demanding that you pay for the loss of generational wealth. That they are not demanding that you pay interest for all of the wealth that you have earned, you and your ilk, from sitting on their land. You should be happy, but you feel you're all that. The utter caucasity. I would strongly encourage these white South African farmers to pack up their bags, get the hell out of South Africa, because nobody asked you here, no one invited you here, and nobody dragged you and your forebears to South Africa in chains. So please, go. No one's going to miss you. Go become refugees in the United States of America, a land that belongs to Native Indigenous Americans and a country that was built on the blood, life, sweat, and liberty of Black Americans. Go on, that's your modus operandi, to go where you don't belong and take what doesn't belong to you. Sharp, sharp, move. Sharp, sharp, move. And go from being a refugee to a naturalized American citizen like your fellow white South African Elon Musk, the real president of the United States of America. What are you waiting for? Trump.
This is absolutely nefarious. Hold on. I'm sorry. I thought she was done, honey. She is still going in, honey. Please pay attention. If she didn't tell not one lie, as far as I'm concerned, okay, who's mad? Because I'm not. I love it.
Real president of the United States of America. What are you waiting for? Trump has made room for you. He has spent the first few weeks of his presidency deporting thousands of migrants, many of whom have worked, lived, and paid taxes in the United States and committed no crime, but they didn't have the complexion for the protection. And the only basis for giving the white South Africans refugee status, but not these other migrants, is because the South Africans are white. Oops.
I would say you, Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears came to America.
That's right.
They found the indigenous Americans. They wiped them out. They killed nearly all of them.
Right.
We are living as a nation, and black and white, we are going to find solutions for our land question. So Donald Trump must leave us alone. Donald Trump must leave us alone. He must leave us alone, Kauri. When we were facing apartheid, when we were facing oppression, he was not here.
He wasn't.
He did not fight side by side with us.
No, he didn't.
And we were able, on our own, yes, with support of...
Okay, absolutely no lies detected. So, it must be so difficult to be living with privilege all of your life, and then somebody that looks like you comes and snatches it right out from under you. I mean, you don't know how to cope, because after all, you've had everything handed to you on a silver platter. Okay, the world has been your oyster, but now you don't know what to do because you've lost your job. What are you going to tell your family? Well, the same thing that people that look like me have had to tell their families for decades. Okay, centuries even. I find it all so interesting. But hold on. Let's go to this other video, because Brad has something to say. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. And then we got to talk about Maxine Waters, what she has to say about all this stuff that's going on.
This is such a powerful comment. It really deserves to be highlighted. This is also true of the American South. There is a saying, blacks know more about white folks than they know about themselves. Now, I can't speak about the experience of being a black person who's a victim of racism, but as a white South African who grew up under apartheid, I do know something about the psychology of being racist. Now, in apartheid South Africa, white people controlled the economy. We had all the gold mines and the platinum and the diamonds and everything else. But there was one natural resource that black people had in abundance, that they had far more access to than white people. And that natural resource was the truth, particularly the truth about white people. You see, in a racist society, as a racist, you need to constantly be tying yourself up in cognitive dissonance. You need to be contradicting yourself dozens of times a day. So in South Africa, for example, we believed that black people were lazy, that they didn't want to do any work. They just wanted to sit around all day and do nothing. But who did we get to dig the mines, to work in the factories, to drive the buses, deliver the post, build the houses? It was black people. We believed that black people were dirty. But who did we rely on to clean our houses? We believed that black people couldn't be trusted, but who was left unsupervised to look after our children? You see, what racism does is it forces the racist to act like a little child who will demand whatever they need at a particular moment, even if it's contradictory. Sometimes a black person will be like your child and you'll tell them what to do. But sometimes you'll be the child and they'll be the adult. They'll be the one making your bed, cooking your dinner, even comforting you when you're in emotional distress. Racism damages white people profoundly, and then black people are the victims of that damage. We transmit that damage into their lives. But fundamentally, black people will always know more about white people as long as white people continue to be racist, because they will have the objectivity of being able to see that cognitive dissonance from the outside. This is what the writer Rebecca Solnit says about this issue, which sums it up much better than I ever could. I always pair privilege with obliviousness. Obliviousness is privilege's form of deprivation. When you don't hear others, you don't imagine them, they become unreal, and you are left in the wasteland of a world with only yourself in it. And that surely makes you starving, though you know not for what, if you have ceased to imagine others in any true, deep way that matters.
Okay. No lies detected. None whatsoever. Shout out to him, okay, for telling it like it is. Now, Damien says no such thing as white privilege or white supremacy. Well, you're already wrong, honey. You sound crazy. First of all, there absolutely is, okay? White privilege is a person who doesn't look like me. They can get, talk crazy to the police. Okay, they can talk crazy to the police, pull a gun on the police, all at a traffic stop, and the police will sit there and call them by their first name. Nice, polite, friendly conversation with them, not wanting to hurt or injure them. But someone who looks like me, specifically someone of my darker shade, can be at a traffic stop where the police can pull out a gun and shoot me just for being there. Okay. So yeah, there is privilege and there is white supremacy, because that's exactly what allows people who don't look like me to have privilege in the first place. I don't know where you're getting this from, but the sooner you realize that fact, you'll be better off. Talking about me, once you learn that fact, you'll be better off, and stop voting blue too. No parent or any color should be voting blue. Well, at the end of the day, I didn't vote. That's for number one. But for number two, no, you need to realize and wake up from the cognitive dissonance that clearly you're under. There absolutely is privilege, okay? And I wouldn't necessarily call it white supremacy because they're not supreme. I call it wanton supremacy because they want to be superior and supreme, and they use that to oppress other people who don't look like them. That's a fact. And they give privilege to those who do look like them, and they don't have them endure the same things that people who look like me have to endure. So I'm sorry. Yeah, there absolutely is privilege. Okay, that's just the fact. And as that man himself just said, he's white, so he should know. He called it out himself. Okay. And so we can respectfully agree to disagree on that. Okay, DSB says, I hope them South Africans got good dental insurance. We're not the Africans over there. Okay, dental insurance. All right. Well, we aren't them over there. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, they have every right to confiscate that land, which was rightfully theirs in the first place. Okay, and Donald Trump needs to sit down somewhere, because he'll be quick to acknowledge where he feels like people who look like him were wrong, but then ignore the dirt that those same people did in the first place. That's what that's all about. And that, again, speaks wanton supremacy. Okay, and privilege. All right. So thank you, beloved, for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, I'm just telling y'all, it is a whole lot going on at the end of the day. So looks like I missed, hold on, looks like I missed Giggles. Giggles says, I don't trust the South African president either. He did a photo op with Elon, shaking hands and smiling in his face. My spidey senses tells me Elon will or already has offered a deal that Cyril Ramaphosa won't be able to refuse. You know what, beloved? That's a good point. See, I didn't know anything about that. And thank you for putting that out there. And also thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. But you know what? Yeah, we do have to pay attention to these things because a lot of these African leaders are the reason that Africa remains so oppressed and that many of their natural resources are being just taken from them, stripped from them. And while all this stuff is going on, and people can come there and colonize and then just be racist in the motherland to the people who are absolutely from there. This is why, because of corrupt leaders who can be bought and sold, okay, for a few shillings. That's absolutely the truth. And that's always been a big problem in Africa. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. So thank you, beloved, for that information. Okay, and so it's all crazy. But now let's talk about what Miss Maxine Waters has to say. Because I hadn't heard from Sister Girl in quite a minute. Maxine Waters warns Trump and co-president Musk policies will hurt small banks. Not co-president. Oh, the shade of it all. Not co-president. Do y'all hear this? Please pay attention. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Okay, don't forget to like.
Minister, questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Spotzer, welcome back. It's so nice to have a former staffer testify before our committee. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Today, Democrats will offer the types of bills our committee should be considering. You know, if we're going to do reform, it's just not about getting rid of regulations. We should be considered bills at lower costs for families and small businesses and protect community banks and credit unions. For example, I have a bill that would halt all Trump import tax increases and his dumb trade war until we know that small businesses and the community banks won't be harmed. I have another bill that rejects co-president Musk's efforts to end deposit insurance and the FDIC. These bills will ensure there's a future for community banks. And so, Ms. Sponsor, as I explained in my opening statement, I'm deeply troubled by Trump's and the unelected billionaire Musk's early actions, including their effort to pause all kinds of federal financial assistance. Would you discuss, you have done that somewhat, but would you continue to discuss how these efforts would hurt individuals and small banks and how they would undermine the community lenders they prefer to bank with? For example, if loans backed by the Federal Housing Administration and Small Business Administration were no longer available, would that make it harder for banks and credit unions to provide mortgage and small business lending?
It certainly would. And one of the things that I would like to point out is not too long ago, I actually received a telephone call from one of our colleagues at another organization who had received a message basically indicating that they would no longer be able to actively work in providing technical assistance to small businesses as a result of the funding freeze and a series of executive orders. I think these types of policies directly impact our ability to do what we do best as community bankers, right? Which is spur small businesses, give them the resources that they need to scale. And so as we go forward, we have to think about making a conscious decision to pursue policies that empower businesses rather than hurt them.
Thank you. The Trump administration even included interest payments on our national debt in a list of programs. They may be paused before a court blocked their freeze. If we were to default on our debt, wouldn't that trigger a broad economic crisis that would harm community banks, credit unions, and their customers?
It certainly sounds like it would. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And what will happen when Trump's new import taxes are imposed on a bank? And this could happen in a month. Will that raise the cost of groceries and gas for consumers? What about farmers who export their crops? Will they be harmed when our neighbors respond by taxing American exports? Would all of this make it harder for community bank customers to repay their loans?
Yes, ma'am. I think the broader question here is exactly what you're saying. All of these decisions have an impact on the wallets of Americans. And as a result of that, it creates pressure for them to actually continue to pay their debts.
Okay, I've heard enough of that. Here's the thing. Yeah, okay, that does cost taxpayers dollars, but so does all that other bullshit that they're claiming Elon Musk found. Okay, so I still have questions about all of that. Now, Damien says, no, that's BS, lady. Here's a story for you. I bought a white privilege card from Amazon. I got stopped by a black cop. He gave me the ticket. We laughed together and I left. BS, lady. Well, you know what's BS is the fact that you felt the need to tell me that you bought a fake ass white privilege card from Amazon. Okay, those are clearly made as a joke. That doesn't negate the fact that people absolutely have white privilege. And here's the thing. If there was no such thing as white privilege, do you think that Amazon would be selling fake white privilege cards? Because the kicker to that story and joke is that you don't need a white privilege card. All you have to do is be white. And then you have the complexion for the protection. Now, because, sir, a black cop gave you a ticket, so you're saying that means you don't have privilege? Well, of course you do. Because if that were a white cop, he wouldn't have given you a ticket 9 times out of 10. Just maybe, okay? That's the difference. And one thing that you definitely wouldn't have had to worry about is getting shot at a traffic stop. Okay, that's what you don't have to worry about. You can ride around in your car, get pulled over by the police. You don't have to get nervous or think that you're going to get shot or that somebody's going to plant something on you. You don't have to worry about any of those things. You don't have to worry that there's some racist cop going to pull you over and plant a gun or hit you with a felony on some trumped up charges just so you can't vote or purchase a gun, because that's what's been said. That's what's been recorded, okay, on a police dash cam. Okay, and the officer was called out on it. So these things happen all the time, every day, and twice on Sundays. So for you to sit there and think you're going to make me, a black person, believe there's no white privilege, here's the thing. This is how I know that you're white, because you want to tell me, a black person, that there's no such thing as white privilege. Well, there absolutely is. And I guess because you're not black, you wouldn't see it. Everything that's happening to you in your life is all the way it's supposed to be. There's nothing special. I'm not being shown any favoritism. This is just the way it is. Well, yeah, well, from me on the outside looking in, it's called privilege. Okay, Damien. And I obviously know that you're white because you felt the need to mention that the cop who stopped you was black, and only a white person would do that. Okay. So anyway, let me continue. All right, let me continue. So what's BS is what you just had to say. Okay, not anything that I've said, because I'm just telling the truth. All right, with that all been said, Kwame says this country ran by Israel and evangelicals. Okay, well, thanks for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. This whole thing with Trump is just getting out of hand and out of pocket as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's talk about it, because Joy Reid has some things to say as well. They're going in hard in the paint, and you all just heard Maxine Waters say co-president Musk. Not co-president. And here's the thing. Hold on. And here's another thing. Let me just say this to Mr. Damien H. Mr. Damien H., you want to sit here and say there's no such thing as white privilege in a country where the president is a 34-time convicted felon? Say what now? Do you think that Mr. Obama, Barack Obama, would have gotten into office if he only had one felony, even if he had one? But 34, and he's the president? I'm sorry, you could sit down somewhere with that fake ass story you're telling. That's what you can do at the end of the day. Of course, there's white privilege, and there is wanton supremacy as well. That's why we have a convict running the show. Okay? That's why that's possible, because of something called privilege that you have. Okay, so you can deny it all you want, but at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. All right, and I'm going to tell it, no matter who gets mad. Now, let me continue. I mean, the nerve. when you got somebody who's a whole convicted felon is the president of a country where if you're a felon, you may not even be able to vote. So you can be disenfranchised and you cannot be able to vote because you're a felon, but you can be a 34 times convicted felon and you can be the president. Yeah, that's definitely privilege. Okay, but let's continue.
Donald Trump's purge of the government, it's easy for some of it to fall through the cracks, especially those agencies that you may never have heard of, but are nonetheless working for you every day. Groups like the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which essentially sues on your behalf if you are discriminated against at work. And this is not like some new woke DEI thing. This is an independent federal agency that was established by Congress after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, with the purpose of protecting workers against discrimination based on their race, sex, age, disability, pregnancy, or sexual orientation, investigating complaints based on hiring, firing, promotions, harassment, or wages. In 2023, the commission received over 80,000 new discrimination charges and secured more than $665 million for victims of discrimination. But a lot of what they do is public education, working with employers and employees to make sure people know their rights. And last week, Trump fired 2 of the 3 Democratic commissioners, Charlotte Burrows and Jocelyn Samuels, years before the end of their terms, and tapped a commissioner he appointed in 2020 to serve as EEOC acting chair, Andrea Lucas, who says her priorities would include rooting out unlawful DEI-motivated race and sex discrimination, protecting American workers from anti-American national origin discrimination, defending the biological and binary reality of sex and related rights, including women's rights to single-sex spaces at work. I spoke to the now former EEOC Commissioner, Jocelyn Samuels, and asked her what she thinks about those new Trumpian priorities.
As you mentioned, I am a former EEOC commissioner because I was removed by email at close to midnight on Monday, January 27th, with no prior notice, and I think in violation of the law that, as you said, created the EEOC as an independent agency that is bipartisan by design.
Right, there have to be an equal number of Democratic and Republican.
No more than 3 of 5 commissioners can be members of the president's party.
Got it.
So the goal of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the way the commission was structured was to create a multi-member bipartisan agency to work together toward consensus to protect the rights of American workers to be free from discrimination. Mm-hmm. By firing me and my Democratic colleague, Charlotte Burrows, before the expiration of our term, the president has accelerated his ability to control a majority of the commission, a majority that he would not have been able to secure until the middle of 2026, and can use that majority to advance his, I think, radical agenda to eliminate DEI programs, to protect Americans against national origin discrimination.
So what does that even mean?
And to effectively erase trans people from existence.
I mean, the thing about it is, we've seen this movie before when Clarence Thomas was added to the EEOC. And a lot of people believe in order to disrupt it or break it or destroy it, to reverse the idea that discrimination is real. And so that if an African-American is denied opportunity based on race, that's not the real discrimination. The real discrimination is if a white person doesn't get a job they want. We've had friends of the show come on and talk about being asked when they were applying for jobs in the 1960s and 70s, hey, how many kids do you plan to have? Are you married? Are you dating? That's the kind of thing, right, that would trigger lawsuits. This feels like they want to reverse it and say that women purporting discrimination or people of color purporting discrimination is, quote, DEI, and maybe Stephen Millerize it and reverse it and say the real discrimination is when white men don't get what they want. Does that sound like it to you?
I agree with you.
Okay, I've heard enough, and that is true. That is what they call discrimination, just like Trump and these European South Africans. Okay, Greta says 34 charges and convicted on each one, yet you are now felon in charge of USA. How America has fallen. Yes, and it's going to continue to fall. Okay, that's what it's going to continue to do. Please pay attention. Shannon says, stop watching MSNBC. They lie. They are paid by CIA to spread misinformation. Look it up. Well, as far as I'm concerned, all the media outlets lie. They're fake news, just like Trump said. Now, that's one thing he didn't lie about. All of these media outlets lie. At the end of the day, they really do. And so what you have to do is chew the fat and, chew the meat and spit out the bones. That's what you have to do. Okay, you have to sift through it to find the elements of truth, because they'll give you some truth, but a whole lot of it's lies and fear mongering. And that's just what it is, unfortunately. Okay, so that all being said, Jay Sanders says, stop using blacks in the DEI BS. Only 4% of blacks were DEI hires. At the end of the day, yeah, that's true. I don't really care about the DEI stuff, because my thing is that more so benefited other people than us. That's just my opinion. That is just my opinion. All right. So I've never been a DEI hire. So I was always hired on the merit of my accolades. Now, with that all being said, and really DEI benefits mostly white women as far as I'm concerned. All right. That's how that goes. So anyway, AJ Matthews said Joy is looking like Biz Marquis. That was a low blow. Okay, it looks like she got a haircut that doesn't agree with her. But anyway, that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Listen, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Okay, everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Okay, and go check out the other videos that I uploaded. Okay, the videos I uploaded earlier about Diddy and Kanye and all that stuff. And, I don't know why y'all are laughing. I didn't say anything funny. I was being very frank and serious. Okay, so listen, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, and never destructive. And listen, we will be on the spiritual channel on tomorrow. Okay, so everyone stay tuned. With that all being said, hold on. LOL, make the music with your mouth be. Y'all are terrible. Y'all are terrible. Hold on, I'm reading some of these comments. Vince Am said, you're hilarious, Queen. I don't even know what I said that y'all are laughing at. I was very serious. But thank you, beloved. Okay, so anyway, I will talk to you all again soon. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Tulsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got